Hey guys, what is up? Austin here, aka Bowtie Guy 97. Today I've got another install video for you guys, and it's one that you knew was coming because I told you I had them ordered, and they are finally here. And that is my 1 3/4 spacers. That is 1.75 inches for my 2004 Chevy Silverado. These spacers are Bora spacers. When I did the lift, I asked y'all what spacers do y'all recommend or whatever, or spacers that you've liked, and the majority of you said Bora from Custom Offsets, and that's what we did. Custom Offsets is a good company. I've had 2 sets of wheels from them previously. My only complaint with it was it took almost 3 weeks for these spacers to get here, and I have no idea why, but that's beyond the point. They're here, it doesn't matter. They're good spacers. They're not cheap eBay spacers. We've all seen what happens when you run those. You're running that risk. We've got the hub centric rings on these, and they are really strong. They weigh almost 5 pounds a piece. I think the package is 10.4 pounds, so the spacers are almost 5 pounds a piece. They are quite heavy. The reason we are doing spacers today, and the reason we only have 2 and not 4, is because I did the 4-inch lift on my truck. Now, if you're familiar with the track width on Chevy trucks, you know that once you lift it, you get a wider track in the front. And as you see there, we've got a good bit of stance going on in the front, and it's a lot more than the rear. Here I left one tire and wheel on to show y'all, so we can get a before and after. That front tire is way further than the rear, so we need to get the spacer on here to match the rear with the front, because we've got about 1 1/4 1.5 inch difference between the front and the rear. Previously, I had a slip-on 1/4 inch spacer on the truck, and here it is. And that was back when I did the leveling kit and a different set of wheels and tires, to bring it out a little bit further. The 1/4 inch never really did much. It's just the smallest you can go and not really have a danger issue. But let's go ahead, and I'm gonna get the spacer put on here to show you all what it looks like on the hub. So as you can see there, that is what the spacer will look like once it is on the truck. There is no play. I don't even have it bolted down. It just slipped on. It's a perfect fit. There is no play in that spacer at all, and that is what you want with the hub centric rings, especially when the wheel slides on. We are not going to have any type of movement between the wheel and the spacer itself, and that is what causes what you're seeing on Instagram and stuff like that, where trucks lose their wheel and tire. Is people running the cheap spacers. And another reason of that is stud trimming. Now on these trucks, you have to do an 1 3/4 inch spacer or bigger to not trim your studs. So what that means, no 1.5 inch will not work. It's got to be 1 3/4 inch or bigger, or else these studs will hit the wheel. And what happens is, when you bolt the wheel on, you will bottom out on the studs, not the spacer itself, and your wheel will be touching only the 6 studs. And that causes the problem. So, and actually, I'll tell you what I just noticed, that stud is sticking out further, and that is because that stud was replaced. I might actually have to grind that one down. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. But so I'm going to go ahead and get a spacer bolted on here to show y'all what the process is, and I'm going to tell y'all the process between when we need to torque them down, how often you need to check them, and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get a spacer on. All right guys, so there is the spacer on, and as you see here, I did have to trim one of these studs. If you have never had a stud replaced, you will not have to do that, but a shop that I will not name cross-threaded a lug nut on a stud a long time ago, and I had to have one replaced. And that's why that one was longer than the rest of them, but it wasn't a big deal. We grinded it down, so it was flush with all the rest of them. It wasn't hard at all, but here it is bolted on. It is flush, perfect, no movement at all. We got them torqued down, and you see here, you got the nuts that go into 6 holes, and then the tire is going to slide onto these studs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and work on the other side and get that on, and then we'll put a tire and wheel on and see how much stance we got. And just like that, we are done. Spacers are incredibly easy to install because really you're just putting them on the studs and then bolting them on and putting the tires back on. The hardest part is getting the tires back on because these things weigh a ton, as you probably saw in the little time lapse. They literally have to roll into my lap just for me to get them on the studs. But there we go. That's a 1.25 inches more stance than we had before, and it looks like it matches the front almost perfectly. I think that looks good. I'm not a fan of crazy stance with spacers. I think if you want to achieve a lot of stance, you ought to get a wheel that's going to give you that stance, not a spacer. But we needed to match the front with the rear, and I think mission accomplished on that. I think we did a great job. No complaints with Bora so far. Of course, all we did was install it. I need to take it up the road and make sure it's fine. Make sure when you install them that you torque everything to your factory spec. That includes the spacers and the wheels, and then you need to recheck them. It doesn't say on the sheet, but I would say you might want to drive them around for a day and then check them again. I think just to be safe, because you don't want these things flying off and then messing up your wheel and your truck and everything else. So I think to be safe, I'm going to take them off later today and check them again, because I don't want any issues at all out of them. But everything was clean, simple, straightforward. I'll put the link down in the description below if you're interested in these exact spacers. Like I said, all we did was just the rear, not the front. The front is already sticking out further because of the lift. So all we did was get the 1.75 inch spacers for the rear, and now we're sitting good. I'm pretty happy with it. The truck's a little dirty because we're getting to that time of year where they're dropping salt all over the roads. So it's really just kind of a battle to keep it clean. But I appreciate y'all watching. Thank y'all for the recommendations on the spacers, because it definitely was a good spacer, and I hope that they hold up good for me. If you're not already, follow me at Austin04_Z71. They saw the spacers when I got them, which was unfortunately about a week before I made this video, because I was really busy this week with finals and everything. But we're on now. I'm happy I did it. I've got a cool video coming out for y'all this week on a buddy of mine's truck. It's a very unique truck, and I think you'll like it a lot. I appreciate y'all watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. I try to answer every question I get in the comments, as well in the DMs on Instagram. Take care. Have a great day.